This week,
long term, I would ask President Trump, we need to open up more foreign markets. We need to really open up our domestic markets also.
it's not what Tennessee farmers want, but it is what they need, a federal bailout as they face financial disaster due to the Trump trade war shutting down their soybean markets.
The tariffs have in fact generated, as President Trump has indicated, generated the ability to have income to make distributions to those that have uniquely had losses. So it's working.
Governor Bill Lee confirms Tennessee farmers will lose nearly $500 million in crop revenue this year, but he denies it's because of tariffs.
They're just saying, don't treat us worse because we're religious.
Tennessee's Attorney General says the state law banning religious charter schools likely violates the First Amendment.
They are doing it because they've about had it with these social media platforms.
Senator Marsha Blackburn, who worked to protect children online, reacts to Australia banning minors under 16 from using social media. More in our This Week cover story.
Overwhelmingly, the people in Tennessee, in my district, and across the country are like, what the heck is happening in Nashville?
And Congressman Andy Ogles stands by his words, which Davidson County judges say could incite violence, leading to tightened security at the Metro Courthouse. Hello again and welcome to another edition of This Week. Congressman Andy Ogles in a war of words with Davidson County judges, Senator Marsha Blackburn fighting to protect children online, and Governor Bill Lee claiming the Trump tariffs are a success despite China temporarily stopping the purchase of Tennessee soybeans. But we begin with the president offering a bailout to farmers who face financial disaster due to the Trump trade war. News 2's Kelly Milan spoke with farmers at the annual Farm Bureau meeting and shares more.
Lower commodity prices, higher production expenses, and a dry summer placed added pressure on row crop farmers in Tennessee. On top of that, the trade war reduced purchases at a time when farmers were already working with smaller margins.
It's been tough.
According to the Tennessee Farm Bureau, state agriculture losses this year total roughly $430 million. Over the last 2 years, the total is close to $730 million. On Monday, the Trump administration moved forward with a $12 billion federal plan called the Farm Bridge Assistance Program.
But because of the tariffs, this is possible.
11 of the $12 billion will support row crop farmers who experience the steepest disruption in export markets, especially soybean and cotton growers. About $1 billion is reserved for specialty crops or other growers. The administration says funding will come from tariff revenue.
We're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance, and we love our farmers.
Farmers like Lee Rushton told News 2 they are grateful for the administration's relief, but they are hoping for a reliable market for their crops, both home and abroad.
Long term, I would ask President Trump, we need to open up more foreign markets. We need to really open up our domestic markets also.
Eligible farmers must apply by December 19th. Payments could begin by late February.
President Trump announcing a $12 billion aid package, including one-time payments to crop farmers through a new Department of Agricultural bridge payment program.
This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops.
Trump says the money will come from the hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff revenue that the U.S. has collected this year. $1 billion of the funds will then go to other crops not covered by that program. The long-promised aid package is intended to provide relief to farmers who have been hurt directly by Trump's trade policies. A few months ago, ABC's Matt Rivers met with impacted soybean farmers in Nebraska.
Right now, we're below the cost of production. So
you're losing money.
We're losing money.
China has since agreed to purchase American soybeans again as part of a framework deal with the U.S. Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins says the money will be paid by February 28th, but farmers who apply for the aid would find out by the end of the month how much money will be in their checks.
Tennessee Republican Congressman Andy Ogles is doubling down on comments calling out Davidson County judges for dismissing cases against a man accused of sexual assault. Ogles posted on social media, "As long as local liberals are running things in Middle Tennessee, we are at war." The Nashville judges claim he was inciting violence, and now they're increasing security at the courthouse. Ogles is standing by his words.
This isn't rhetoric. 8 different mugshots of this guy.
U.S. Representative Andy Ogles is fired up. His passion, first shared in a Facebook post over the weekend, the congressman calling out the Nashville judges he claims dismissed cases against 39-year-old Mohammed A. Mohammed before he was ultimately arrested for allegedly raping an unconscious woman on the steps of a Nolensville Pike church in August. Ogles argues the crime could have been prevented had the suspect still been in jail, writing every prosecutor and judge who, quote, let him off the hook was a Democrat.
You can't release predators onto the streets and not expect them to prey upon people. This guy had been arrested 21 times. He'd been released a dozen times. He should have never been on the streets. And quite frankly, he should have never been in this country.
Ogles ended his post writing, quote, as long as local liberals are running things in Middle Tennessee, we are at war. That prompted a serious response from the judges, who, in a joint statement, accused Ogles of, quote, political grandstanding, saying his comments invoked violence, calling them, quote, unacceptable, writing in part that it's their responsibility to ensure people can enter the courthouse without, quote, fear of becoming casualties in what Mr. Ogles has described as a war on elected officials. As a result, the judges say they've increased security at the courthouse, and they're asking Governor Bill Lee for help with safety, too. Ogles doubled down in an interview with us today.
My question is, where is their apology to the family of this woman? Where is their apology to the people of Nashville? Look, I get it. People make mistakes, but own it, right? They should have apologized to the people of Nashville for allowing a sexual predator back on the streets.
Ogles says the situation is even more of a reason to deploy the National Guard to Nashville, a call he's made in the past to help bring crime down.
When you look at Twitter and when you look at Facebook, those universes don't tend to be the most conservative. Overwhelmingly, the people in Tennessee, in my district, and across the country are like, what the heck is happening in Nashville? They have lost their ever-loving minds. I'm going to make sure this guy gets deported. I'm going to make sure that he never harms another woman in this country. And I'm doing that because the judges and the DA in this case are not.
Reporting in Nashville, I'm Tori Gessner.
Now to our This Week cover story. The Tennessee Attorney General says the state law banning religious charter schools likely violates the First Amendment. It comes as the Christian nonprofit Wilberforce Academy sued the Knox County Board of Education because the law blocked them from opening a charter school there. State Capitol reporter Tori Gessner asked the governor his thoughts on this law.
It's the age-old issue of separation of church and state. When it comes to charter schools in Tennessee, state law says they have to be non-religious, but a new legal opinion could turn that rule on its head. Late last month, Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti filed a legal opinion arguing the state's restriction on religious charter schools, which passed as part of a 2002 law authorizing charter schools in Tennessee, likely violates the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. It's the same argument 4 of the conservative Supreme Court justices made last October in a split ruling on a similar case out of Oklahoma.
They're not asking for special treatment. They're not asking for favoritism. They're just saying, don't treat us worse because we're religious.
While opponents argue tax dollars shouldn't fund religious schools, the Tennessee AG points out several Supreme Court cases say otherwise, writing the rulings say, quote, excluding religious entities from a public benefit solely because of their religious character penalizes free exercise and triggers the most exacting scrutiny. Just 5 days after the AG filed his opinion, the Christian nonprofit Wilberforce Academy filed a lawsuit against the Knox County Board of Education, claiming the state law blocking them from opening a religious charter school is discriminatory. We asked Governor Bill Lee his thoughts.
I'm a strong proponent for parents having the choice to put their kids in whatever kind of school they want. Now, as it relates to the state law around charter schools, the Attorney General will have to determine existing law and whether that's allowable or not.
It's unclear whether the General Assembly will address the issue during the legislative session, which reconvenes next month. But just last week, a spokesperson for House Republican leaders said lawmakers weren't familiar with the issue. Governor Lee's stance is pretty clear.
I haven't looked at the specifics of that law, but we've been strong supporters of charter schools. We've been strong supporters of public schools, and charter schools are public charters. and we've been strong supporters of school choice.
Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment. Welcome back. Governor Bill Lee addressed the annual meeting of the Farm Bureau by citing the importance of agriculture to this country as he embarks on a 95-county tour here in Tennessee, celebrating the nation's 250th birthday next year. He also discussed tariffs and more.
We decided to start it at a Century Farm and talk about agriculture in the state of Tennessee because that seemed relevant to celebrating the greatness of our state and its contribution to the greatness of America. Because agriculture is the driving force of the economy in our state, and because the legacy that agriculture has had for this state since 1796.
Governor Lee supports the Trump tariffs that caused China to stop buying Tennessee's soybeans, the state's biggest market for soybeans. Tariffs that now threaten to bankrupt Tennessee farmers. The governor reluctantly addressed the damage done by the Trump tariffs, but without blaming tariffs and without pointing to solutions of how to restore those markets for Tennessee farmers.
Tennessee crop farmers have lost $450 million this year. I think that's the close to number, 430, projected to lose $430 million. There are hard times and there are good times, and there are times that it seems like it's all working, and then there are times when it seems like it's all falling apart. And it's kind of been the life of agriculture for all of our lives, and you know that. But right now it's hard. And I am grateful that just yesterday, the Trump administration has announced relief for the struggles that our crop producers have had. There is a recognition, and I'll tell you, our office has interacted with farmers in this state in order to advocate with the federal government for relief. It's a hard time, and you need to know that your elected officials understand that and are doing their best to navigate that in a way that's going to continue to help our industry, this industry of agriculture, move forward in our state.
A federal bailout is a temporary Band-Aid to the gaping wound caused by the tariffs, resulting in the loss of markets for Tennessee soybeans and other row crops that could lead to the loss of family farms. Tennessee farmers don't want a bailout. They want their markets back.
You are an incredibly important component of this Tennessee that is unique and attractive to America. We are very, very fortunate to be Tennesseans. We are very blessed. The favor that God has given our state is remarkable. We have enormous challenges. There are struggles that people have, from a farmer that might be going broke today to a single mom in the inner city that has her struggles of her own. There are great challenges in society that government will never solve, and it's not their job to solve it. However, we have to continue to remind ourselves, and as we do this 250 celebration, that's part of the purpose of that, is to remind ourselves of things that are easy to forget. We have to remind ourselves of how remarkable and how blessed we are in this state of Tennessee. We have to remind ourselves that America is the greatest country in the world. And again, protect it, defend it, don't take it for granted, and recognize that it's all fragile.
While acknowledging the plight of Tennessee farmers facing losses of $450 million this year, the governor believes the Trump tariffs are a success and disagrees tariffs on China and other countries led to the loss of soybean and other markets for Tennessee farmers.
Y'all keep this ag industry moving forward in this state this next year, in spite of the struggles that are here. Lean in. Work together to help solve those problems, because there's 7 million people in this state that are counting on you to do that. There's 7 million people in this state. A lot of them don't even realize how important agriculture is to our state, but they're beneficiaries of the work that you do. So lean into it, continue to do it forward, and thank you for partnering with us as we do that together. We will continue to work to move that industry forward, which impacts every Tennessean and frankly impacts the world, because food products from our state go around the world. It's a tough time for farmers actually right now, especially row crop farmers, but we're working with Farm Bureau to make sure we understand how it is that we can improve the lives of the ag sector in our state. These are projected losses, by the way, for particular types of farmers in Tennessee. Just to be clear, some producers are not having the same losses as others. The tariffs have in fact generated, as President Trump has indicated, generated the ability to have income to make distributions to those that have uniquely had losses. So it's working. If this program is laid out in a way, and I believe it's going to be, that targets losses at those uniquely who are suffering the losses, then it'll be a win for farmers.
Tennessee farmers do not see a bailout required to make up for the losses tied to the president's tariffs as a win. Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment. Welcome back. We caught up with Tennessee senior U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn in Washington this week to discuss several pieces of legislation she is supporting or sponsoring. The senator has worked to protect children online. We asked her what she thinks of Australia banning minors under 16 from using social media.
They are doing it because they've about had it with these social media platforms. You know, the Kids Online Safety Act that we discussed yesterday, it would put those guardrails in place. It would require social media to do safety by design, to open those algorithms, to give parents a toolbox, and they're not doing it. So Australia has said, look, we're sick of this, and they have instituted a ban. Now, the reason Kids Online Safety Act did not pass last year is because Meta spent $20 million lobbying against it. They hired one lobbyist for every 6 members of Congress. $20 million to fight kids' online safety. And they don't want to give kids up. Kids are spending about 8 hours a day on their devices, and what they're saying is that's our revenue stream. Their worth is built on the eyeballs that they capture and the amount of time that eyeball stays on the screen. So they are very selfish. They do not care about the well-being of our children. They are putting profits before children, and people have about had it.
Singers and songwriters would be paid when their songs play on the radio under legislation sponsored by Senator Blackburn. Currently, they are played for free.
The American Music Fairness Act deals with radio play and the fact that our musicians are not paid when their music is played on radio. And this applies whether you are the singer, the star, or you're one of the band. You're not making anything off that spin on radio. And it is unfair. There are only 4 countries in the world that do not pay. The U.S., Cuba, Iran, and North Korea do not pay for radio play to the artist that recorded that song. So you take someone like my very dear friend, late friend, Sam Moore, Sam and Dave, who sang Soul Man. Every oldies station in the country uses Soul Man, but Sam Moore never made a dime off that radio play. Sam Moore, his estate doesn't get anything off that radio play, and oldies stations use it every single day.
College athletes and their name, image, and likeness earnings would be protected by legislation sponsored by Senator Blackburn called the Hustle Act.
Our student athletes have their YouTube channels. They generate a revenue. And being able to have an organized process where they can put that into an account that the university is going to hold for that student until they finish their career, and to protect the student and protect them from people that would like to grab a piece of that money. And also, these agents have not been required to register. So we require agent registration as well as the opportunity for these athletes to have an account that money can go into.
Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment. I want to thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. That will do it for another edition of This Week. We hope to see you back here next weekend for another edition of This Week. Between now and then, enjoy your weekend. Stay warm. It's going to be a cold weekend, and we'll see you back here next weekend.